superior technologically.
I
That's
want
why
to
they're not ahead of us.
It seems to me, Mr. Davis, I was anxious to let you speak what you thought the goals of the Communist Party, your party were.
Well, these aren't the goals of the Communist Party.
Right,
these are the
Okay.
Because our goal, of course,
platform.
is socialism.
Now,
Our
one of
goal
them,
is the
one of them,
establishment
you, one of them you
socialism in this
mentioned was the
country.
criminalization of races.
Yes, yes.
Now, in view of that, what would you do to Jesse Jackson?
And Louis Farrakhan.
I'm not,
Well,
I hope that you don't mean what I think you may mean when you...
well, maybe I
refer
do.
to
It is
Jesse Jackson, but
alleged.
perhaps you
It is
should,
alleged by many Jewish, citizens of the United States that Mr. Jackson has, well, I'll say it's alleged by me that he's made some racist remarks.
He's been alleged by the Jewish people that he's anti-Semite.
Jackson made an anti-Semitic remark. He admitted that he was insensitive, wrong. He apologized. As a matter of fact, he apologized in front of a synagogue.
But he did not.
And let me say that people in this country, everyone has been affected by racism to one extent or another, as far as attitudes are concerned. And certainly we have a whole institutional edifice of racism which systematically discriminates against racially oppressed people. But as far as attitudes are concerned, the very first step, of course, is the acknowledgement of that, and the attempt to think that Jesse Jackson really should be congratulated for having publicly apologized in that way.
Right.
What about
when we get back, I'll ask you about Mr. Farrakhan and Jesse Jackson. But right now, we have to take a break. Pat and I are talking with Angela Davis.
Made a nod to the racist terror that has been inflicted historically on black people.
All right, well, look, let's agree there's a legacy of racism in America, but all right, what behavior now by a white leader do you think is not only ought to be condemned verbally, but ought to be punished criminally?
Well, I think the Ku Klux Klan should be outlawed. I think the Nazi Party should be outlawed.
How about the Communist Party?
They don't really have much effect on America.
The Communist Party, why would you...
They've got a record of repression.
The Communist Party has a record of repression. You give me one instance of the Communist Party of the United States engaging in repression in this country and not participating in the struggle against repression. If you read your history, you would recognize that the Communist Party has played a major role in the struggle against racism.
You give me one example in history where the Communist Party has come to power where it has not imposed a repression that is as odious or far worse than the system it replaced.
Well, I could give you many examples. I could give you many examples.
Well,
but as I said today, I really felt that in coming here to participate in this program that you would at least give me the opportunity
let's talk about the Nazi Party in the United States.
Talk about what's happening in this country.
The Nazi Party in the United States, sitting in that chair, we had a young gentleman who was a spokesman for the Nazi Party in the United States. He's over in Virginia. Now, I don't know what they've done nationally. I don't think they've done anything. Perhaps they have. They're involved in that shootout down in Greensboro, I believe it was, with the communists. It was a communist Nazi
That was
shootout.
the Ku Klux Klan.
It was also the Nazis were in there, too. But, I mean, they have not imposed any system of repression in this country that has been tolerated by the government of the United States, or have they?
Well, if you, of course, examine the reasons why the Ku Klux Klan has become so much more visible over the last period, I think you'll find a direct relationship between that kind of terror and Supreme Court decisions and the kinds of positions that have been taken by the likes of the Reagan administration. If one looks at his assault on the Civil Rights Commission, the firing of the most progressive members of the Civil Rights Commission, there's a direct relationship between racism at that level and what is happening in such organizations as the Ku Klux Klan.
Ms. Davis, just let me ask you one final question. You began your public your career as a public person with the news that you were supporting the Soledad brothers, and that protest wound up in a court in Marion County where a judge died. As you look back on that whole thing, do you think you did everything right?
I don't regret anything that I've done.